Okay, we got the block surface on this side all cleaned up really good and inspected. We went through and measured all of the counter bores. We measured them in 4 different positions just to make sure that everything was good. All the counter bores are excellent. There's no concern there. We were definitely concerned about number 3 where it had the issues, but everything's fine. We cleaned it up real good. We can still see all the machining marks on the block. There's no highs or lows. We put a straight edge on it, perfectly flat all the way across. Looked really good. We still have a little bit of cleaning to do down inside of the holes here. There's some O-rings that go down inside the cylinder there because it's a wet liner, so the coolant is actually touching it. So we got to continue to kind of scrape out and clean those where those O-rings go, and then do just a little bit more cleaning inside the block. But the mating surface looks great. You can see all the machining marks and everything still on the block and everything. Again, counter bores all checked out, everything cleaned up. We're ready to go with this. So next step, we'll be starting to assemble the piston kits and liners and start inserting the liners, and then we got to check the liner protrusion, how far the liners are downset into there after they're in there. So we got a few more measurements to make, but everything's looking real good. All right, we're getting ready to start assembling all the pistons here, rings and everything. We got all the parts from Diesel Pro Power. It's a great source to get the Detroit diesel parts. And here's the first one after it's in. So the liner slides in there, and you see it's a 2-stroke, so it's got those open ports on the inside there. But yeah, we got one down, 7 to go. All right, in just a few hours, we had the other half of this put back together. So that went pretty quick. We have a whole bunch of broken off bolts in this radiator that we got to drill out and tap out. This is gonna take a little bit of time. This is the other side. Got one more piston left to do. We have lots of little jobs that requiring a lot of extra attention. Like this is the intake on here, and it was all rusted, corroded out. The aluminum's breaking, so we got to fix this because someday this could just come apart. Two of the 4 bolts that hold it on are completely gone. That's good.
Which one do you want the first?
It don't matter. Keep more where the threads are at. And it's probably the threads in the steel part right there for that one. Don't want a piece of that broken shit hit you. So did it get it?
Yeah, I got the bolt.
Okay. But that whole corner broke away, right? Which we already knew it was like that. Let's try another one. We broke so many bolts in this project already, we're not taking any chances with these. Give it a shot. Two for two? Mm-hmm. I can't see anything because I've been staring at your flame. All right.
Really good.
Yep. One more.
Crack one.
What?
it's crackling. That other one,
Are you gonna be able to get an impact on it or no?
yeah, just don't think this.
I don't think you'll be able to get an impact because of how the under the pipe. I think it's gonna be a wrench. So today we're just double checking all of our liner protrusions, the amount that that liner sits below the deck of the block surface there. So this lays flat on the block. We zero it out on the meter. We use that hold down clamp to hold the cylinder down all the way, and then we let that little come over the edge into the groove there, and then we get a number on there. And then it needs to be within spec. No two cylinders next to each other. It can be more than a 0015 difference between them. And so far everything's checked out right across the board. We're about 1,000th between anything, and everything's within spec in the measurement. So we're doing good. We just have one more to check left here, but this is a very critical thing. We have shims that can go under there. We have to pull a liner back out and put a shim under it to make sure that they're all good. But we checked the counter bores ahead of time. We measured the liners before they went in, and we dry fit the liners and measured them too, just to make sure. But we're just confirming our double check here before everything goes, before the heads go on, which we're about there now. So today we're doing main bearings. Just taking the caps off now. But the peanut butter goes on those bolts too. Everything's standard here. Okay. The upper there looks fine. We're replacing it. A little bit of wear. The upper one looks fine again. We got the heads back from the machine shop. That was not cheap. We got to go through and just double check everything on them here. And then we also had this welded, the new aluminum welded on here. So we got to smooth it out and then drill new holes in it and everything too. So we got all new valve seats. We're reassembling the heads. We're checking everything out on it. We're doing the injector cups. We're checking the protrusions of the fuel injectors and everything inside there. And then we're also double checking all of the valves and everything too. Finally got the broken bolts out. And everything's getting ready to just get cleaned up one more time before it gets painted, before it goes on. So we got all this like crap in these areas we're cleaning. Getting a little pry bar and scraping. The aluminum's a little, the paint's off of it and the aluminum's starting to corrode, so he's gonna hit it with a little Scotch-Brite. We don't want any dirt getting in the blower. Not much paint left on it. But it's just gonna get cleaned up, painted, and then get back on the bus. The blower looks good. It's not rebuilt, it's just cleaned up. This engine has only, very low miles on it. But we're getting the heads everything put back together, all the accessories going on, and everything painted while we have it off too. So it's just gonna look better when it's all done. I ran this on the big belt sander just to smooth it back flat so it'll have a good seal surface again. So these are gonna be 35 foot-pounds. These will be 45 foot-pounds. Once you come to the other one, snug them up equally. Yeah. All right, we got the new holes drilled in there, so this is ready to mount back on. These are the new washers for the fuel connectors. So these go on the head and they get tightened down. That's where the fuel jumpers connect to the fuel from the head to the fuel injectors. And those are tightened to 40 to 45 foot-pounds, which seems like an awful lot for such a small thing, but you don't want fuel to leak into your head. Never reuse those washers, always put new on. The difference on the 92 series from the 71 is that these use these really thin little metal shims. You can see where the old one used to be there. They go on the far outside there. So outside of the head bolt area, one on each end of the head. So this is raised up a little bit where there's that crush ring on there, and then it just keeps the head flatter by having that shim on the outside. So the pressure on those outer rings are equal across the distance of the head. So these are a crush ring that goes across the top of the liner. Definitely don't want to forget those. This is the perimeter oil seal. One side will have a color on it. Sometimes it's green, this one's black. The color faces away from the cylinders, so basically outwards on the head. So when the head squishes down, the black is what you would see as the head goes down, or green, whatever color it is. But one side has color, and for it to seal the best on there, the color side faces away from the cylinders. Because there's a seam on there, and it's guaranteed to be the right flat thickness all the way across when it's in that position. If you put it with the color side up, then it's not, and you're probably going to get a leak. Keepers on it. So just give them each a tap, a couple taps. Okay. A little harder than that. Okay. Yep. If the keepers aren't set, sometimes they fly out now. I'd rather have it fly out now than later.
That keeper is up higher than our sleeves.
Yep. See, so that is a problem. Yeah, that's not set right. That's exactly why we're doing this. Go ahead and hit that one a couple more times.
Yeah, it's not, I don't feel it give.
So we'll have to fix that one. Keep going. So when we lower the head on, we use a couple of guide studs. These are cut off head bolts that we put a little flat head. We cut into the top so we can take them out with a screwdriver, but they're a little shorter than normal, so you don't have to come in super high, but that makes sure the head is aligned, and it drops down gently on those O-rings, all at the right angle. They're just long enough where you can get them with your fingertips if you try, but a magnet will help pull them out there. And then you gotta make sure these holes are all very clean, so before you put the head on there, vacuum them out, clean them out real good so that there's no oil down in there. And then the new head bolts, they do get peanut butter that go on them. And then the tightening pattern is like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the outside ones. Just snug them a little bit each as you go. It'll take you about 3 or 4 turns. Snug yet, is it? It wasn't even snug yet, was it? Okay. Is that good? Yeah. Turn it a little bit. There you go. Turn it a little bit, it'll fall on there.
No?
I don't think so. There it goes. Okay, this side's ready for the head. We got 2 guide studs mounted in there. All the little O-rings are on. The fire rings are on. The little crush gasket's at the top. The perimeter gasket is on. We seal it with some grease so that it doesn't pop out. Shims are on both ends. These little shims right here. We're ready for the head. Okay, so we got the head supported here. It's at an angle tipped this way, which is about the same angle as the head sits on there. You see the block surface is slight tip that way. So we're gonna just lift it up a little higher, do a final clean job on the bottom of it before we made it on there. Always wanna make sure it's totally clean. And then the cherry picker here, Harbor Freight 2-ton in the 1-ton position should be enough to get it to position there. Okay, we're sliding it in slowly here. Go ahead and go a little closer. Okay, stop. Let's go up about 4 or 5 inches.
You put this on the blower.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're dang near the exact same angle right now. That's nice. Hang on a second. I just got caught on something. Come backwards. There. Okay. All right. Straight in.
You're rubbing against this hose over here.
Come this way a little bit. There you go. Hang on, I got it caught on a exhaust manifold bolt. Going in a little bit more, we're getting close. Okay, hang on.
Is that bracket thing gonna be in the way?
I think we're touching something. Guide studs are in?
Yes.
Jiggle it a little bit, I feel like it got caught. That's perfect. Okay, hang on a second.
Oh, where? I need that hose pick now.
All right, so these are the head bolts, and we're putting the international compound number 2, which is known as peanut butter because it looks like peanut butter. You put that on the threads. It's a thread lubricant for the high yield torque stuff like that. So this is the little seal that the thermostat seals on. It goes in the thermostat housing down there. The best way to install it is just to use a socket that is just slightly smaller than the dimension of it. So when I drive it in, I can use the socket to do that. So the socket actually goes all the way through. You don't want to knock the seal all the way through though. Just right in the middle there. Okay, so there's the new seal installed. So the thermostat will go in there, right into that. I'll push it in just a second. It'll mount flush in there with a little lube on it. And then we did mess this up just a tiny bit when we were getting that bolt out, but it's outside of the sealing, and the gasket is going to seal in here, so no coolant's going to leak from there. And just to be sure, we're going to smear just a tiny bit of Permatex right there. That'll be good to go. It's already got an oil leak dripping out of the governor adjustment there for the idle. I haven't even run it yet. There's supposed to be copper washers on the end of that. I'm guessing that that's a lock washer somebody's got, so we got to take that off anyways. Get that fixed. And the thermostats are in, the housings are ready to go on. There's the other one. They got new seals in them too. All right, we're getting all the thermostats and everything back on it here and getting all the cooling system put back together. All right, we're getting the governor all put back together here. They definitely don't make that easy to get that mount there. Do the whole shaft and everything on it, not just the threads on these. So we're putting anti-seize all over these bolts that go into the thermostats here, and we're only using a flat washer on them. And the flat washer will stop the water from getting, because otherwise water gets down in there. If you use a lock washer, water gets down in there and just sits and just corrodes the crap out of the bolts. This will make the next guy's life a lot easier. Just have something there to hold it in place. All right, so this is the turbo oil feed line, the oil feed line that broke off of the turbo when we were taking it apart. It was rusted and corroded and seized. It took us a little while to find a new one. It's one of the AeroQuip reusable hoses, which most of these hoses are, but this particular one's a little different size. So we ordered it. It was the third time before we got the right one in. We got the metal part was right, but the hose they kept sending us was the wrong dimension of hose. So it took us a while, almost 2 weeks, just to get that straightened out. Well, we have a broken tap inside the end of the radiator here. We're going to try and get this out. We tried using the tap remover, which has got the 4 little tongs that slide down next to it, and it broke all those little tongs off. And it's only like a quarter inch, less than a half inch of the tap that's down in there, barely in there, but we can't get it out. So we're just going to heat it up, turn it red, and knock it out, and start over with it. Probably good. You want to do this? Maybe just some safety glasses. Yeah. Where's that shield at?
This thing's just gonna fall. I don't know. Ready?
Yeah. Let me push down. Well, this radiator was a big project. If you remember how nasty it was inside, everything was so plugged up, gummed up, caked up. It was just completely disgusting. So now that it's all cleaned out and we're putting it back together, we're using the radiator tape on it for a gasket, cork gasket on it. It's going to seal up real good. Just go around, tighten all these bolts down. The radiator's 100% full of water, and there's no leaks anywhere. We're going to pressure test it in the morning. We'll put some rubber caps on the ends there, and then we'll put an air fitting in this little hose right here, and we're going to take it up to about 8 psi. Make sure there's no leaks, but it's holding water here. Good. That's the first step. As much water was in the oil on this, I didn't want to just trust these water pump bearings, so we're going to rebuild the water pump on here. There's a washer there. know if I can hold this with my finger or not.
Probably not. Wouldn't dry.
Where's that? I had a crescent wrench here somewhere. It's coming this way, so I have to push that way. Just one little tap, please. Yeah. Can't do it with one hand. Now that that snap ring is out, tap it out, pull it. Rebuilding this is pretty easy. So the inner bearing goes on this one here, which is the smaller of the two, and then the larger outer bearing goes on this collar, and then the gear goes on that collar. So relatively easy to install everything. Just use a press, bearing, gear. Trying to get the old housing cleaned up pretty well here. Get it painted. Get the dirt and grease off it. And rust. Scrub that down in there too. The bearings on there. Just gotta switch the gear over now. Yep. Couple pumps. Let's go. If it gets really hard, you're going to stop, but just keep going. It's going. Getting close. I think it's there. Yeah. Go ahead. Grab that plate. There we go. So the first thing we need to install is this oil seal, and it goes in this way here because the oil will be on the back side of it there. But that goes in first and all the way down into there. Seal installer that'll put it to exactly the right depth there. And now we got to put the water one in. So that one keeps the oil out, and there's a hole in the middle. Big one there in case that leaks. It has a little weep hole so it doesn't get oil, engine oil in the coolant, or vice versa. So there's a space in between there to do that. Passage there. Okay, and then this one gets installed next. right on top of that. Okay, that one's installed, and I just used a big socket for that one just to get it on that outside edge, and does a nice job. So we painted this all up and everything, make it look pretty. Just give it a little tap to get that bearing in. That snap ring back down in there. And this gets set to 40 foot-pounds, 35 to 40. And then we're going to also go ahead and just, for the heck of it, we're going to stake that nut so it can't come loose. All right, we are only a couple hours away from starting this engine. We were waiting to put the water pump on until we got that turbo oil feed line because it comes back behind the water pump down here. When the water pump's here, it's very hard to get to that and then runs up here to the turbo. We will pre-lube that turbo with oil before we put that line on as well. And we're putting all new hoses and everything on here too. So that's all pretty much so the water pump goes on, new hoses, fill it with coolant. The radiator's got to go back on. But it's nearly ready to start. We've got the exhaust manifolds on, etc. here on this side. We still got to throw this one on, but everything is all set up on the head. Everything is done up here, ready to go. Yeah, we're very close. Couple hours away from actually getting this going. The big delay was like that turbo feed line that just put things on the back burner until we could find that.